that are the best are the ones that you just suddenly playing, or you're playing and suddenly you start singing something and you think, well, that's good, where'd that come from? They're the best.
Their breakthrough came in the mid-1970s when they began working with renowned songwriting and production duo Nicky Chinn and Mike Chapman. With Norman's voice at the forefront, Smokie released a string of international hits that captured the spirit of the era. Songs like Living Next Door to Alice, If You Think You Know How to Love Me, Don't Play Your Rock and Roll to Me, I'll Meet You at Midnight, and Lay Back in the Arms of Someone became global anthems. Chris Norman's vocals were central to Smokie's success. His delivery balanced vulnerability and strength, giving the band's songs emotional depth and relatability. Smokie became especially popular in continental Europe, Australia, and the UK, earning millions of fans and selling tens of millions of records worldwide. During this period, Norman emerged not only as a singer, but also as a charismatic frontman whose sincerity resonated deeply with audiences. By the early 1980s, after years of relentless touring, recording, and industry pressure, the members of Smokie began to feel creatively constrained. Chris Norman, in particular, longed for artistic freedom and the opportunity to explore a more personal musical identity. In 1986, he made the difficult decision to leave the band and pursue a solo career, a move that carried significant risk, but ultimately proved transformative. Norman's leap into solo work was met with immediate success. His 1986 duet with Suzi Quatro, Stumbling In, became a massive international hit, topping charts and introducing him to a new generation of listeners. The song showcased a softer, more intimate side of his voice, highlighting his ability to convey tenderness and emotional nuance following this success. Chris Norman released a series of solo albums that cemented his reputation as a mature, emotionally driven artist. Songs such as Midnight Lady, Some Hearts Are Diamonds, and No Arms Can Ever Hold. Smokie's big break hit in the mid-1970s, and it was massive. That's when they teamed up with the powerhouse songwriting duo Nicky Chinn and Mike Chapman, two hitmakers who practically ruled the charts back then. With Chris Norman's smoky, soulful voice leading the charge, the band dropped hit after hit that defined an entire era. Songs like Living Next Door to Alice, If You Think You Know How to Love Me, Don't Play Your Rock and Roll to Me, I'll Meet You at Midnight, and Lay Back in the Arms of Someone weren't just songs. They were global anthems. Each track carried that unmistakable blend of heart and grit that made Smokie impossible to ignore. Norman's voice was the magic glue, tough yet tender, confident yet full of emotion. He made every lyric feel like a story pulled straight from real life. The band blew up across Europe, Australia, and the UK, building a fan base that couldn't get enough of their sound. They sold tens of millions of records, packing out arenas and owning radio waves everywhere. Smokie wasn't just a band anymore, they were a phenomenon. But fame came with pressure. Years of non-stop touring, studio sessions, and label demands started to wear them down. By the early 1980s, the group was running on fumes, and Chris began to feel boxed in. He wanted more freedom, more creativity, more truth in his music. So, in 1986, he made a bold move. He left Smokie to chase a solo dream. It was risky, but it changed everything. That same year, he teamed up with Suzi Quatro for their unforgettable duet, Stumblin' In, and boom, it exploded worldwide. The song topped charts, turned heads, and introduced Chris Norman to an entirely new generation of fans who couldn't get enough of that raw, emotional fire in his voice. Stumblin' In revealed a whole new side of Chris Norman, soft, emotional, and beautifully real. His voice carried warmth and vulnerability that touched millions, proving he wasn't just a rock frontman. He was a storyteller with soul.
I'm a sucker for that. I watch anything that's old and black and white.
Career, dropping albums that showed the world just how deep his artistry ran. Tracks like Midnight Lady, Some Hearts Are Diamonds, and No Arms Can Ever Hold You became instant classics. They struck a chord, especially in Germany, Scandinavia, and Eastern Europe, where fans treated him like a living legend. While most artists fade after leaving a successful band, Chris did the opposite. He soared. He trusted his instincts and carved his own lane, blending pop, soft rock, and even a touch of country flavor. His songs spoke about love, heartbreak, resilience, and life's quiet reflections, real emotions people could feel in their bones. Over the years, his songwriting turned more personal, his lyrics more raw, and his voice, still that same raspy magic, became even more powerful with age. Every performance hit different, like he was sharing a piece of his life on stage. What makes Chris Norman truly stand out is how he's stayed strong through decades of change. While so many from his era faded into memory, he kept evolving, touring non-stop and selling out arenas all across Europe and beyond. His concerts still pack that same fire he had in the 70s. Real emotion, no gimmicks. He doesn't just live off nostalgia, he honors it while still creating fresh, meaningful music. That's the mark of a true artist who never stops growing. Chris Norman's voice has aged like fine wine, weathered by time, but rich with soul and truth. Every note he sings carries the kind of raw authenticity that only decades of real experience can give. And in 1994, the world recognized that magic when he won one of the biggest honors of his career, CMT Europe's International Video Star of the Year. Back when music TV ruled the airwaves, this award wasn't just about having a great voice. It meant you had the full package. Chris's voice, unmistakable from the first note, and his emotional connection through the screen made him a true standout. That moment proved his solo career wasn't just surviving after Smokie, it was thriving. His music had crossed borders, languages, and generations, showing the kind of timeless appeal most artists only dream about. Then came 2004, a comeback moment that had fans buzzing. Chris appeared on the German TV show ProSieben's Comeback, a program built to honor legends who shaped music history. And wow, he didn't disappoint. The crowd went wild as he stepped onto that stage, reminding everyone why his songs still hit deep after all those years. One of the most unforgettable moments of the show was his performance of Stumblin' In, this time as a duet with pop icon Suzi Quatro. The chemistry, the nostalgia, the energy, it was pure magic. Old fans got chills, and younger viewers discovered the timeless charm of that voice all over again.
One of my favourites is a Christmas movie called It's a Wonderful Life, which is made in 1949 with James Stewart in it. And I like those kind of movies. Casablanca with Humphrey Bogart. Those kind of classic black and white movies, they'll get me every time. If I ever see that when I'm going through, I watch that.
His passion and legacy that still lives strong today. By 2019, Chris Norman had nothing left to prove, but he still took center stage and proved it anyway. That year, he headlined the world-famous White Nights Music Festival in St. Petersburg, and the moment was electric. The festival wasn't just another gig, it was a tribute to the legendary Alla Pugacheva, celebrating her incredible 50-year career, and being handpicked as a headliner for such a cultural milestone said it all. It showed just how much respect Chris still commands across Europe and beyond. Under the glowing midnight skies of the White Nights, Chris stood tall among other global stars like Level 42, Bonnie Tyler, and Svetlana Loboda. His performance was pure class, decades of experience mixed with that same fire that first made fans fall in love with him. He didn't just sing, he owned the stage. Every lyric hit with heart, every chord reminded the crowd why his name still echoes through music history. Chris proved that real legacy isn't about chasing trends, it's about touching people, year after year, generation after generation. Away from the flashing lights and global fame, though, Chris Norman's personal life tells a very different story, a story of loyalty, peace, and staying grounded. While so many rock stars got swept up in chaos, Chris kept his roots strong. Back in 1970, before Smokie hit it big and long before the fame and non-stop tours, Chris married Linda, the woman who would become his lifelong partner. Their relationship was built before the spotlight, before the #1 hits and sold-out arenas, and that's exactly what made it unshakable. It was real from the start, based on mutual trust, shared dreams, and genuine love, not the noise of celebrity life. Through every high and low, Chris and Linda stood side by side, proving that even in a world built on fame and attention, true connection never goes out of style. Through the years, Chris Norman has made it clear, sometimes through words, other times through his choices, that his marriage to Linda was no ordinary love story. In an industry known for wild lifestyles, breakups, and constant chaos, Chris stood out by staying loyal to one woman through it all. More than 50 years later, their bond is still going strong, a real love that outlasted fame, trends, and time itself. Linda has always been his quiet anchor, standing strong behind the scenes while he faced the whirlwind of fame, recording sessions, world tours, and the non-stop demand to stay relevant through ever-changing eras of music. Those who know them say their relationship has always been deeply private, built on respect, trust, and a shared promise to protect their family from the spotlight. While others let fame tear them apart, Chris and Linda built their life like a fortress of loyalty and love. Together, they raised 5 children, something Chris has always treated as his proudest achievement. Even when he was miles away, performing in packed arenas or working in the studio, he made sure his kids knew he was always there for them. For him, family wasn't a side note, it was the center of his world. Fatherhood grounded him, shaping his outlook and helping him find balance in a life that could have easily spun out of control. It gave him perspective when the fame and pressure grew heavy, reminding him of what truly mattered. People close to him often say this strong family foundation is what kept him real. No ego, no distance, just a man who loved his craft and stayed true to his roots. By 1986, even at the peak of his career, Chris made a conscious choice for peace. He sought a calmer, more private lifestyle where he could focus on both his music and the people who gave his life real meaning. The Norman family eventually chose to settle down on the Isle of Man, and that decision meant so much more than just a change of address. It was a statement, a conscious move toward peace, privacy, and balance. Away from the chaos of mainland fame, the island offered Chris the space to breathe, to live, and to create without the constant flash of cameras or industry noise. The Isle of Man's tight-knit community and laid-back rhythm fit him perfectly. It gave Chris and Linda exactly what they wanted, a normal life for their kids, free from the non-stop media attention that comes with stardom. There, Chris found what so many artists never do, a home that gave him both creative freedom and family stability. Even from this quiet corner of the world, he never stopped writing, recording, and performing around the globe. From his island studio, he proved that you don't have to live in London, LA, or New York to make timeless music. The Isle of Man became his personal sanctuary, a place where he could recharge, reflect, and stay grounded in the same core values that guided him since the beginning: commitment, family, and authenticity. Now, at 75, Chris Norman, the unmistakable voice behind Smokie and one of British rock's most respected icons, has reached a moment of deep reflection. Decades of chart-topping hits, sleepless tours, and both triumphs and trials have given him a wisdom that only time can teach. And as he looks back, one name shines especially bright in his memories: Suzi Quatro. After years of silence, Chris has finally opened up about their bond, their unforgettable era in music, and the deep admiration he's always held for her. Their connection wasn't just professional, it was electric, filled with respect, talent, and a shared passion that defined a golden age of rock. Thinking back to the early 1970s, Chris Norman paints a vivid picture of a music world that was raw, wild, and bursting with energy. Those were electric times, he recalls. Everything felt new, unpredictable, and alive, like the whole industry was on the edge of something groundbreaking. And right in the middle of that chaos came Suzi Quatro, a force of nature who flipped the entire scene on its head. When Suzi came along, she changed the picture, Norman explains. She wasn't trying to fit into anything that already existed. She was her own thing completely. Her arrival wasn't just a moment, it was a shockwave. Suzi wasn't following trends, she was rewriting the rulebook. Chris makes it clear that her influence went way beyond chart hits or fame. In a world dominated by male rock stars, Suzi stood front and center, bass guitar in hand, attitude blazing, leading her band with power and confidence. People today sometimes forget how brave that was, he says. Back then, it just wasn't done. Suzi didn't ask for permission, she just did it. Her boldness made waves across the industry, forcing even seasoned musicians, Norman included, to take a hard look at their own assumptions. You couldn't dismiss her, he admits. She had the attitude, the talent, and the stamina to back it all up. Their paths crossed often, on tour circuits, TV shows, and at industry events, and Chris remembers every encounter fondly. She was always straight with people, he says. No nonsense, no pretending. What you saw was what you got. That honesty, paired with her mix of toughness and humor, made Suzi unforgettable. She wasn't just another artist, she was a trailblazer who made everyone around her raise their game. She could hold her own in any room, but she could also laugh at herself, Chris Norman says with clear admiration. That combination is powerful. Behind Suzi Quatro's bold stage presence and fierce rock energy, Norman knows there was a lot the public never saw. She had to work twice as hard to be taken seriously, he admits. That's just the truth of it. In an era when many artists were heavily packaged and molded by record labels, Suzi refused to be anyone's puppet. She fought tooth and nail to stay true to herself. She knew exactly who she was, and she wasn't going to let anyone rewrite that for her, Chris explains. Her strength wasn't just in her music, it was in her unwavering sense of identity. When asked why he's opening up now, at 75, Norman pauses for a moment before answering. Age gives you honesty, he reflects. You stop worrying about how things will be taken. You just want the record to be fair. And to him, being fair means giving Suzi Quatro her due. No labels, no limitations, just respect. Suzi deserves her place in history, he says firmly. Not as a novelty, not as the female this or that, but as a rock artist, period. Looking back, Chris admits that time has softened the rivalries and misunderstandings that once filled the music world. We were all just trying to survive and succeed, he says. Sometimes that creates distance or silence. But now those old walls have fallen away, leaving only appreciation and gratitude. When I look back, I feel thankful to have shared that era with people like Suzi, he says with a smile. She raised the bar for everyone, and she did it without losing herself. Chris Norman doesn't just speak as a musician, he speaks as someone who lived through rock history. If younger artists ask me about that time, I always mention her, he says with pride. I tell them, look at Suzi Quatro, look at her courage. His words hit different now. At 75, every sentence carries the weight of experience, the clarity of hindsight, and the respect of someone who's seen it all. This isn't just nostalgia, it's a genuine tribute from one legend to another. Chris Norman honors Suzi Quatro not as a symbol, but as a true pioneer, a woman who helped shape rock into what it became. Her fearless attitude, her raw talent, and her refusal to back down changed the game forever. If you felt the power of their story, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment about your favorite Chris Norman or Suzi Quatro moment. Their legacy still rocks, louder than ever.